Hey guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video. The day after Manchester City's very satisfying 3-1 victory at the Etihad Stadium against Burnley. I'm just about dried out. Honestly, that weather yesterday, utterly grim. Thankfully, the football on display was more than enough to make up for it. A lovely day yesterday. Went there with my dad and it was great fun. And I can't wait to talk about this game in a little bit more detail. Before I do that, I would like to quickly say, please do consider giving this video a like if you are a fan of this channel, and subscribe while you're at it. It does help support a lifelong blue. It is massively appreciated. Help support a channel if you want to. Hit the like button, subscribe, it is massively appreciated. And do let me know down in the comments what you make of these talking points, always. I've got to say as well, there is a chance still to win a pretty insane prize over at Football Prizes. You can win an Erling Haaland signed in frame Manchester City shirt, as you can see on the picture right next to me. But more than that, it's got like LED lights and a TV in it. Literally got a TV that shows highlights of Haaland's record-breaking debut season. Quite ridiculous, that prize. It's still got a chance to enter. You've got until next Wednesday to enter. I think there's 100 or something tickets left. If you want to get involved, head to the link in the description right now. Fingers crossed one of you guys can win this Football Prizes signed and framed Erling Haaland shirt. It's all legit, don't worry. And there are also other prizes up available in the draw as well if you choose a number and that comes out. So fingers crossed one of you guys enters this and wins it. But let's get on to the game from last night. To me, I think the obvious place to start pretty much is about our captain, fantastic Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne, yesterday, captain Manchester City. Quite an interesting little narrative given Kyle Walker's recent forays into the press. I don't think it was able to do other than Rico Lewis getting a game and Kyle being rested. Probably sensible from Guardiola. But it did mean that we got to see the lovely side of Kevin De Bruyne wear a captain's armband in his first start. Since his last first start, which was Burnley, when he was also wearing the captain's armband. And it was nice to see it. I enjoyed witnessing KDB be our captain, and basically he was there on merit. And most importantly, more than anything, I really enjoyed KDB's performance. And I'm not saying it was his scintillating, brilliant best. And no, he wasn't. There's still a little bit to go. But were there moments of magic that only KDB would probably pull off? Absolutely. Now, of course, we're all going to go to the Alvarez goal. To see that free kick and then to make it are two very different things entirely. Yeah, no one else sees that. But then if they do somehow see it, do they make the pass perfectly so Alvarez doesn't even have to break a stride and put it in with his first touch? Probably not. It was a moment of sheer genius. The kind of sheer genius that truly special players conjure up. And guess who's a truly special footballer? Kevin De Bruyne. And it's just a relief, I feel, right now. Watching Kevin De Bruyne beat Kevin De Bruyne. So a lot of people were worried about how he'd come back after his injury. Would he be the same guy? Could he be running on, you know, empty given these injuries? Nah, that's Kevin De Bruyne. There's one particular pass as well where he sort of chested it and volleyed it first time without looking to Jeremy Doku on the left. It just sort of drawed gasps from the crowd. It was ridiculous stuff. But that was Kevin De Bruyne. And there was no signs whatsoever of him slowing down right now. Honestly, Kev is looking wonderful. He looks fresh, he looks happy, and he looks really, really good. And I'm very, very excited to see how his form continues to develop as the business end of the season approaches. Second thing I want to talk about is Matheus Nunes. I thought he shone yesterday, actually. I still maintain my point. I think he's a bit of a weird anomaly in a Manchester City shirt. I don't think he looks like a Manchester City player, still. But I don't think he looks like a very good player. Yes, I do. What I mean by Manchester City player is the prototype, the archetypal Guardiola midfielder. He's such a different kind of prospect to that. Like, we don't see players in City's midfield with such powerful running like Nunes. It's just not a thing. We normally see like maybe more considered technicians. Of course, De Bruyne can run powerfully, Foden can too to an extent, glide past people, Jack Grealish can. But it feels to me that what Nunes is really good at and what his weaknesses are sort of at odds with what you'd usually associate with a City midfielder. His weaknesses, I would say, are probably his like final pass or his composure. He did get an assist, I'll get onto that in a minute. But largely speaking, I think the subtlety to his game isn't always there. And his strengths are like powerful running through from midfielders, which would usually associate with another kind of team than Man City. But I think that's quite refreshing. And I think the encouraging signs for me so far, he's got that work rate, he's got that incredible, unique turn of pace. Look, whisper it quietly, but there is a little bit of Yaya when he gets going like that. Obviously, he doesn't have the high-level technique of Yaya, but you can't help but think about it because he just looks so familiar, this tall stride that bulldozes past people. It's really impressive. Not quite as physically strong, maybe, but the pace, the turn, it's very fun to watch. But then you look at him and you go, actually, it looks like he's already learning quite a bit. Like I think in general his awareness is getting a bit better. I think his touch seems to be a little bit more considered. He doesn't seem to have the magic in the final third yet. He did get an assist, so I'm going to sort of contradict myself a little bit there. And it was a really nice cross for Alvarez, but there's a few times where he did those runs and he sort of just kind of passed it to no one. I wouldn't say especially in the final third yet, in the way that 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙩𝙬𝙚, De Bruyne, David Silva, even Foden have been over the years. I think even Rodri's got a bit of specialness to his game in the final third. He's not even close to that. I think he's decent. But the other aspects of his game make him such an intriguing prospect. And I can't wait to see what Guardiola does with him, because I think with a little bit of luck, he could develop into something pretty special. The third thing I want to talk about, and obviously I had to get there eventually, it was going to happen. Erling Haaland is back in a Manchester City shirt. There was quite a comical moment, of course, when he air-shotted himself, cut to the bench, and Kovacic, Silva and De Bruyne were all laughing at him. Adorable. But Bernardo Silva, but Erling Haaland, back on the pitch. It's a beautiful sight to see. I mentioned it yesterday, but I was very lucky to be able to be in the Tunnel Club yesterday. Thank you to 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙯𝙖𝙬 for inviting me down. But one of the, obviously, joys of the Tunnel Club is you get to see the players sort of coming past you. And it was a surreal experience, and it was wonderful. Thank you guys for making me do this, giving me the chance to do this and get those opportunities. What struck me was with Erling Haaland watching him, he's such a lovely young man. Genuinely, like his attitude when he ran out for the warm-up and walked back with all the young lads, all the mascots waiting there, and a big grin on his face. He's just so happy-go-lucky. He looked so ready and so focused as well. And he's just brilliant, Erling Haaland, isn't he? And obviously, it'll take a little bit of time to get his general rhythm back, but that power's still there, that pace is still there. Look, Erling Haaland, Guardiola said it simply. He said, we are a better side with Erling Haaland available. And it's just simply true. It's good to see the big man back on the pitch again. The fourth thing I want to talk about is I looked at that bench yesterday and there was actually depth. Now, I'm going to get my phone just to fully remind me what the bench was. But there was genuinely depth for the first time in an awful long time. We've been so used to sort of like young players being on the bench and so on. And it's not always been... Look, a pretty sight looking at the bench, because you look at players, and so many we're never going to get on. Like you see the kids on the bench, or Calvin Phillips wouldn't get on, or Sergio Gomez or whatever, unless you were winning comfortably. Whereas yesterday I looked at that bench and I was like, do you know what? This is strong. They're like Erling Haaland, Jack Grealish, Kovacic. Gomez got on as well, but Ortega, Kyle Walker, Diaz, Bernardo Silva and Oscar Bob. I've made a big thing about the categories that I break down substitutions into, being the top level subs that will get on if they're available. If Grealish is on the bench, usually you'll get on. Kovacic or Silva, Foden, they'll get on the bench, get on. Second one is like they might get on, they might get a game, if we're doing all right. Like also when he's a bit tired, like a Nunes type. Maybe he's gone further than that, by the way, since the last 24 hours. And then the third type who's always been like, you know what? They're not going to get on unless we're 4-5-0 up. And that was obviously Calvin Phillips. And recently we've had one or two of the guaranteed ones, maybe 2 or 3 of the guaranteed ones. A couple of the ones of like, yeah, they might get on. Nunes, Rico Lewis, people like that. Until now, and it's been like 3 or 4 ones that will never get on, like Sousa, Michael Hamilton, Calvin Phillips, Gomez. It's been really heavily weighted. Look at that bench yesterday. Haaland, Grealish, Kovacic, Walker, Diaz, Bernardo Silva. That's 6 players I almost certainly Guardiola would turn to at some point. You can't use them all, but you wouldn't be surprised if any of them came on. And then even the others, like Ortega and Oscar Bob, are the only ones I haven't mentioned there. I mean, Oscar Bob could be in that first category now. Ortega and Oscar Bob's second category, because one is a backup, and I think Bob's not quite the level of some of the senior ones yet. But there's only one player on that bench I think didn't have a chance, and he actually got as probably Gomez. Like the ratio switched around, and it's great because we're going to need that depth, and I'm so excited to see what this team can achieve going towards the business end of the season, because we're going to need everyone involved, and it looks good with Kanji set to come back as well. All of a sudden we're going to have a full squad. I'm very excited. I'm really excited, and it should be great for us going forward. The final thing I want to talk about is that we got a bit of a reminder of what Julian Alvarez is all about as a striker. Look, Erling Haaland is the main man. Kevin De Bruyne is the main man. These people who play in positions that Alvarez has played this season are the main men. Absolutely. I'm never going to deny it for a second. And I think 1 or 2 of us as fans have been a little bit down on Alvarez recently because his touch has been a little bit off and he hasn't looked quite his very best. I've never really been worried about that because I do feel largely, a large part of that has been down to the variation that he's in his game in terms of what he's been asked to do. He's been asked to do different things time and time again. He isn't a striker, he isn't a midfielder, don't forget. And he's learned that role really well and had loads of assists and been involved. And he's a second choice striker, don't forget. So when he's gone back to being a striker after when Haaland's not there, he hasn't played up front recently quite a lot because he's been playing as midfielder. He's very much aware that he's second choice and all this kind of stuff. I think it's been a really weird thing for Alvarez, and he had a couple of like slightly poor performances. He's played a lot of football and achieved a lot. I think every now and then he's gonna have a dip in form, but yesterday was a reminder of just what a special footballer he is. You know. Obviously, the first one was a reasonable tapping, but the movement was good. But the second one, again, such a clinical finish. And I'm not saying he was like 10 out of 10 good yesterday, but Alvarez, look, he won us the game with his movement and his finishing. Absolutely, the game was over in the first half because of Julian Alvarez, and we're so lucky to have him essentially. And I think that reminder of what Alvarez can do for us and how crucial he is to this squad, it can't be ignored. Alvarez is going to be back on the bench soon, almost certainly. I think Foden and De Bruyne and everyone are ahead of him in midfield, and Haaland is ahead of him up front. But I want us to remember just how good Alvarez could potentially be as a City player going forward. He's got a very difficult job of being the backup for these guys, but he does it so impressively always. Guys, anyway, they're the 5 things I want to talk about. De Bruyne, Nunes, Haaland, the depth returning, Alvarez. Things look very, very good. Let me, of course, know down in the comments what you made of the game yesterday. What 5 things did you take from it? Give this video a like, subscribe, and come on, fellow quintuple winners. In a bit, bye-bye.